real nigga, you gonna show a nigga a different way. You feel what I'm saying? Like a lot of niggas think a boss is the nigga with the jury on. A boss is the nigga with the most understanding. That's the definition of a real boss.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying?
Talk heavy. I like that, young.
This is for those that's lost like the Bermuda Triangle.
I'm spiritual and I'm real.
I'm here to wake y'all up.
Man, come on, man. You're supposed to grow and change, man. I'm forever gonna be a blood, because that's what I am. A black man leading others out of darkness. That's my definition of it.
Well, why do Black Americans study Kemet?
The point I'm getting at, it might be hard, is we're just walking around brainwashed. See what I'm saying? It's not to diss a man. We need the 89 school system, one that caters to a black return, because you must learn.
Okay, let's slow down. I don't know if God gave you wisdom. I think that Eve and Adam bit from the apple, and then they got wisdom. God didn't eventually, when Adam and Eve was created, they didn't have wisdom. They were servants. He gave them an order. They disobeyed. They ate from the tree in the midst of the garden, and they got wisdom.
It's like that in a hieroglyphics, yeah. 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 It's like that in a
You know, Herodotus went to Egypt in the 5th century and said that Egypt was more religious than any place on earth.
Egypt is the light of the world.
And that Greece and Rome stole everything they knew from Egypt.
All of the Greek great thinkers only produced once they had spent time being educated in the Nubio-Kemetic sciences. Thales learned geometry from Kemet. Pythagoras learned his theorem from Kemet. Plato's entire body of work was already known by the African priests. Euclid, credited for trigonometry, Democritus, the philosopher, Solon, who introduced democracy, Herodotus, and even Archimedes, the famed physicist and chemist, all studied for many years in the Black Africans' Nubio-Kemetic civilization complex.
We're talking about ancient Egypt. I would say look to the Sudan.
And this is another out in the world edition.
Yeah, out in the world.
Black cat has bad luck. Bad guys wear black. Must have been a white guy who started all that. Make the gas face. For those little white lies, my expression to the mountain is blue eyes. Cause in that time it was Akibu line that moved religion, politics, and man. In order to destroy the Egyptian race, they had to wipe the sciences from off the face of the planet. So they proceeded to ban it and replace it with Christianity. And it's been that way all the way to today. Learn what we teach, hear what we say. But here comes the K, the R, the S, the O, the N, the E, the BDP, and we rhyme intelligently. Let me continue with Theodosius.
White supremacy. White people destroyed Egyptian monuments that looked too black. White people started separating Egypt from Africa as if it was two different places. White people started making Egyptians look white. And then when people started pointing out that Egyptians were in fact African, they started trying to make it seem like the pyramids were built by aliens.
A few among them have even proposed that these pyramids, especially the ones in Giza, were constructed by extraterrestrial beings. And believe it or not, the incredibly famous tech billionaire Elon Musk is among the people who believe the alien theory. According to
Draco history and its influence on society today. The Roman or Greek gods, which we call the Anunnaki.
But I think aliens exist. On our recent trip to Egypt, we learned some pretty shocking facts about the Great Pyramids of Giza. For starters, they perfectly align with Orion's belt. That's some freaky alien stuff. Also, I don't know how this makes sense, but each individual stone on the pyramid was 2.5 tons. There is no way that humans were able to carry that. The last creepy fact is that these pyramids are at the dead center of the earth. Like mathematically at the dead center. So you can't tell me that this freaky deaky stuff wasn't aliens.
You are at the foot of the pyramid to take a photo. Stop for a moment to think a little. Imagine pushing and pulling a stone this size with 50 other people. Then imagine doing this with a second stone, then a third. You will have to raise them to a height of 5 meters, then 10, then 20, 40, 80, 120 meters. There are 2,300,000 waiting for you like this that will need to be transported and hoisted. It's dizzying. You look to the top, then to the bottom, and you start to reflect. Immediately the thought comes to mind, the Egyptians were crazy.
And Great Pyramid of Giza come from like a 12-hour drive away. Who? You're dragging it on wet sand? 100-ton perfectly cut.
You then learn that a block of granite weighs 70 tons, the weight of 3 loaded tractor-trailer trucks. Then you learn that inside there are 1,500 tons of granite that came from 900 kilometers away. A kind of dizziness takes you. You've only just begun to consider the difficulty, and you are forced to humbly recognize that the mystery of the pyramids is not exaggerated.
All the shit about the Sphinx. The head of the Sphinx is really small. You don't just make the head small by mistake. What they're saying is another civilization found the Sphinx, then carved their own face onto the existing face, and it was most likely a dog.
The regions of Turkey and Armenia occupy the third eye portal region. This ISS where the Anatolian serpent of knowledge comes in through the Anunnaki, who taught the first Neanderthals the knowledge of the stars and
900,000 years ago, an alien videotaped his attempts to educate a caveman, the Prometheus and Bob tapes.
Because they did not want the modern white world to know how advanced the African culture was.
Here are the theories. For Egyptologists, it was the Egyptians who built the pyramid. Period.
Like, what is y'all? Is cat silly? Like, before, when black people couldn't even study, really, and couldn't get access to a library, they was scrambling over Egypt.
Promised lands, no fables. This where the truth's told. Use them 2 holes above your nose to see the proof, yo. Imagine a contraption that could take us back when the world was run by black men. Back to the future, anything could happen.
And why don't they study chemistry?
You know why they won't teach us the history of Egypt? After you have shackled and enslaved a people, branded, castrated, lynched, burned, and tortured them, you called them 3/5 of a man, subspecies, an ape, a monkey, and a general inferior creation. How can we then admit that they are our teachers and the ones who gave us civilization? How can we admit that we descended from Greece and from Rome, and that Greece and Rome stole everything they knew from Egypt?
I didn't even know if they knew that the root to chemistry is Kemet.
You read up, but the rest of that stuff is actually for scientists. So I've been over people's head.
Not knowing that the Adam philosophy is actually derived from the ancient Egyptian deity Atum. And we know this to be true because they'll say that the Adam philosophy, which the atom is known as a basic unit of matter, right, is a basic unit of matter or a fundamental unit of matter. But now they say that the atom was founded by Democritus, a Greek named Democritus, but George G.M. James, a black historian, noted that Democritus was actually studying in ancient Egypt, so he got his particle physics, his knowledge on particle physics on the atom from ancient Egypt. So his science on the atom came from the ancient Egyptian deity Atum, who was one of the primary, or was a primary deity in the ancient Egyptian stories or mythology. Now, what they called our mythology was actually a cosmology. Our people in our mythology was actually telling how the universe was created and how the universe came about. But now we know that the atom can be traced back into the ancient Egyptian deity Atum, but then we know that the atom obviously has what we call subatomic particles. Now, a subatomic particle is just a particle, or so a subatomic particle is what's fundamental to the atom. And then when we look at what is fundamental to the deity Atum, we have the opener, or what we call Ptah. And they say that the utterance of Ptah's words, or the vibration of Ptah, is what gave way to the deity Atum, who we also associate with Ra, Re, and light. And then we see that the vibration, or movement of electrons is literally what causes light or the flow of electricity in science. So we see that the electron, just as the atom can be synonymous with the deity Atum, the electron can be synonymous with the deity Ptah. So the deity Ptah would be subatomic, just as the electron is a subatomic particle to the atom.
You see? Going to see if the route to chemistry leads you back to Kemet. Or if that's pseudo. But one of the now I need to say in preamble of any discussion we'll have that I can't, because my mind can see things you know, I don't want to say ubiquitously, but I can see some of what both sides of a lot of arguments are saying. I see the good things in a lot of arguments and the bad things in a lot of arguments. And some of the arguments don't really seem well founded.
Hold on. Pause for a second. The original claim, the original claim is that it was Mesopotamians who came in and invaded and founded the civilization. And I don't think that those people at that time were considering Mesopotamians white. So that's not true. It's just that white people were making the claim that it ain't Africans in 1970, whatever.
But I'm wrong. You feel me? Niggas is hypocrites.
The Black American promoting the Black American jargon, the new pseudo jargon of quote unquote, y'all West African, you West African, why don't you study West Africa? That's not a real thing.
Still that, because what you telling me?
The Khan come from ancient Egypt, nigga. They were the Egyptians. The Akan, now let me go over here and show you the Akan people is the niggas from Ghana. Okay, who you say you come from, right? The Akan in Ghana, nigga. The Akan people are the people from Ghana, correct? Hold on, let me show it. I ain't gonna correct. I ain't gonna ask you because you're gonna try to lie. You getting your ass cut. You tried to run. He thought he slid up out of there, y'all. But nigga, I'm top cat. Nigga, I'm Big Chief. The Khan people are a choir group living in present day Ghana. This is where the nigga says people come from. We just showed that the Khan are really come from the Egyptian people. And we just showed in Exodus 11:7, they go and put a difference between these Akan Egyptian niggas who you claiming and Israel. So you're going to have to make a choice, man.
Any of those who are repeating those type of catechisms or that jargon, y'all have been fueled. That's not an authentic grassroots claim. That's some shit. Y'all some subjects, some highly impressionable people with little influence because the shit ain't catching on, right? But y'all being used like pawns in this simulated reality internet, picking up arguments that are endorsed by one school of Egyptology, the Islamic school of Egyptology, put out these catchphrases and words for pseudo Black Americans to repeat. That's not no grasp. That didn't. I'm in the culture, so that's not on the. That's not on the streets. You know what I'm saying? That's not the sentiment. Y'all trying to push forth that shit and it don't fly. Cause ain't even none of y'all more West African than me. Motherfuckers look crazy, talking crazy. You feel me? And when I say it's the Islamic school, challenge that. Pull up an Egyptologist. First of all, let's Scott. I'm on the page Egyptology. Modern Egyptology. Let's do the history of Egyptology just a little bit. We talk about it often.
The African origin of the major sciences has already been proven. Dr. Martin Bernal of Cornell University and Dr. George G.M. James have shown this in their respective works.
They saw that the Egyptians were the teachers of the Greeks. And no one really considered the Greeks serious as philosophers. And Socrates and Plato and these people had transmitted elements of their philosophy.
I don't even get it. I don't even get it. So y'all can rock out with y'all fake North African connects and y'all pseudo people who on the continent who endorsing, if they is right there, they stifling the Nubians, pushing them down. Everybody know what's up. Flooding out the area so we can't find what's really. Man, and like I said, in scholarship, all other schools, if you're looking, you know, like go into the French school, go into the British School of Egyptology, they're correcting the prior mistakes of the former Egyptologists who scurried over Egypt when we didn't even have access to talk about it.